We are now beginning with you a special event, a special lesson. This Congress, I already said, is special. We, for the first time in our history, are creating a kli, the ability to feel the upper force, the upper level, something that is called a human above the world. For this reason, we create a group, a state, in which we can this quality of bestowal and love, and with the help of that integrated quality, feel the upper world, to model the upper world. We'll talk about this right now with you on this lesson, and then practically to perform this between us to a real sensation, until we get to a real sensation of the next level of existence. Let's gather our strength, our intention, and step up. Let's begin. Although the method of uniting in a group and attainment through it of the upper nature already exists more than 5,000, almost 6,000 years, but it was never described clearly in any sources, because people didn't have that need in it. Our egoism hadn't developed enough to such a degree so that it would demand changes inside of it in the world, because it discovered its dead end of its progressing egoistic development. When we discover a lack of the ability to continue to exist on this planet, although you have many people and societies that think that somehow through their development they can aspire towards something, to attain something, but realistically nobody's truly believing it. By its inertia, it's still moving forward, but only by its inertia. Governments, economists, out of their sort of habit, they continue to tell us that, everything will be over soon and everything will be okay. But really, the truth is that there is no way out. But we have to clearly find this way out and realize it, and to be an example to everybody. But since in our time this need occurs, then this method is revealed, which was originally transmitted from student to teacher, from teacher to student throughout the generations, from single students in each generation until ours. And therefore only my teacher described this for the first time in history about the group. Before then, there was never any mention of group work. There were separate phrases, excerpts in the ancient sources, 300, 500 years ago, maybe even a couple thousand years ago, but they're all small commentary, and not more than that. But the first time, the systematic work in the group, how to unite between ourselves in order to organize this organ of perception of the upper state, my teacher described for the first time, as he wrote for the first time on the back of that cigarette paper. He wrote his first article that we are ready to unite in order to reach the level of a person and not remain on the level of an animal. And this is what we do. All of our study throughout many years, there are people here that study 15, 10 years. All of this is only to come to this one state. To begin to work in the group, having realized that there's nothing else, that everything that you did in these 10 or 15 years, this is only in order to understand at the end of the day that this is what stands before you. This is the only thing that can change you, to reveal before you that which you desire. However, although this is the last sort of step, usually we approach it for a long time before we finally convince ourselves. We try to swerve away from it, go off to the side. We study Kabbalah. We perform any acts of dissemination, anything just to not work in the group. And even when we understand that there's no other way out, still, at the last moment, we try to avoid it. Try to somehow find for ourselves reasons to not truly include ourselves in this, to just sort of close our eyes and jump into it. Jump completely into the group and completely disappear within it. We can't do it. We can't allow ourselves to do it. And again, more and more time passes, months or maybe even years, until a person finally enters. We can shorten this time by our common effort, and this is what we're going to try to do. In this work, it doesn't matter who studied for how long, who knows what, if he's smart, if not really, strong, weak, stubborn, stable, or lazy. It doesn't matter. If you enter a group, You connect into its common strength, and there you disappear. What does it mean, disappear? You dissolve in their common qualities, the qualities of your friends, to such a degree that you receive integration, the integration of all of their abilities, and they all become yours. I think that, maybe I'm too young, maybe I haven't come to this yet, but you have to understand that it has to happen now. Don't let any excuses come to you. Don't try to make up any excuses for yourself. No other times, no procrastination, only here and now when we have to do this. And the action is, as we said multiple times already, it's very simple. To ascend above your egoism, to perform what is called Tzimtzum Aleph, the first restriction, just to try to do it as much as possible. To ascend above it, to not pay attention to any of its reasons, diversions, persuasions. Understand that it points towards our lack of focus on the path. If my path is directed forward, if it's not strong enough, then I'm going to feel like something is distracting me. And each distraction shows me what I have to add to my intention in order for it to become directed enough, sharp enough, and in its magnitude sufficiently strong. So I need the direction of the target and enough force which will guide me towards it. Power. So these obstacles we take as necessary. We don't take umbrage to them. We're not angry at ourselves about them. But on the other hand, there are obstacles and I overcome them. More obstacles, I overcome them. And stronger do I invest myself in drawing near to others. Patience. To friends as to small children, as to your beloved child. You can't do anything about it. This is our egoism that still doesn't allow us to connect to others. And it still shows us where we have to bring ourselves closer. With respect to others, we need to exist on 3 levels. On those which a person is usually with respect to others. To see yourself above them in order to feel their greatness. When a person is greater than us, when a friend is greater or the group is greater than us, or lower, when the group is lower to us, or equal. If I look at them, that they are greater than me, I place myself in a state in which I can study from them, learn from them, receive from them what they have. As somebody small learns from somebody great. They can influence me, I receive their energy, their strength, their inspiration. If I perceive them as smaller than me, then I can give to them as the great gives to the small. And in both cases, I'm in a particular communication with them, receiving from them the greatness of the goal, or evoking in them, granting my lepton, my elementary particle of greatness of the goal to them. And in this way I'll become equal to them. In this way we will truly be friends. If they're higher than me, then they're like a teacher. If they're lower than me, then they are like students. But only if we're equal, then we are like friends. In this way, we attune ourselves with respect to the group, how I can add more to the group, where I can receive from them, and where I can equalize with them. The equality has to be the goal, but a state in which I'm lower or higher than them, these states are states of my attuning to them. I don't have to... Guys, please stop playing with the sound. I don't have to... I don't have to. Guys, why? I can't hear anything. Who needs this for them to start playing with them? Let them get them out of there, and that's it. What are they going to do? Stand there and and bother us all the time from doing what we need to do? Just remove them. You're tuning people, and what? They're ruining everything. Another obstacle, an example. When we take friends, we don't mean their personal qualities. I'm not interested in any of their earthly problems. Everything that exists around me, the only thing that interests me is their focus upward. This is what I'm occupied with, their point in the heart. I have a point in the heart, and the group's point in the heart. This is what I'm attuned to. No different qualities. They could be, bad or good, impatient. It doesn't matter. They're all animal qualities which are left on this level, the level of this world. The important thing is for me to unite with their point in the heart, the thing that they're aspiring to, just like me. The tuning of the group is very unique and subtle. We perform this work under the direction of our friend Anatoly Ulyanov. As you know, this is a psychologist that is working with us and studying with us for a long time, and is also an author of some of my books, and the manager of this work, of this group work, in our world CLI. Our world CLI. Now we will gradually undergo all the steps of the work in the group. He's going to talk about it. I'm going to comment on it. And in this way, we'll prepare ourselves to what will come after this lesson. Everything that gathers in the group, what we want to achieve in it, and in which way we can gather, which thoughts should go between us, which intentions we should have, what we want to profit from this, from these mutual actions. So, give it a try. All right, so I'll talk about the...
Good day. I'm going to start the practical part of what we're going to be doing. And Rob is going to add whatever he feels we need to improve on or complement. We're going to work in circles, circles of 10 people. We had the leaders for every circle already trained, and this person is going to lead the circle. What does that mean? He will make sure that people do the work, because we already know that there are the ego pops up, and it's going to try to get us out of this work. So again, we're going to be organizing in circles right now. It's very important for us to sit together, sit close to one another. So here we have a challenge of making sure that we all fit in this space. To start with, we're most likely going to have mixed circles, right? Mixed groups?
Yes, here's the problem of the work of the men and the women in the group. In general, unity, as we know, according to our nature, as what was created, is only possible through men. And women are not united. They don't unite between themselves. They have a special sort of egoism. It's not good or bad. No. We understand all this. There are people sitting here that understand us and know us very well. We have to work with that nature which is inside of us and not try to somehow exploit it, change it. We have to understand that if we use it correctly, then we'll reach the goal. Therefore, we can, if you want to try, it's possible. We can do mixed groups. When we gather together, as 10 people sitting, one across from the other. This could be men and women. Let's say man, woman, man, woman, man, woman. It doesn't matter as if I'm sort of, as if there's an equal amount or an unequal amount. We can try one time so that men and women would sit together in one group, or they would sit in separate groups, and throughout the process of the work to see as much as we feel that how much the connection of the men to the create a connection between themselves with respect to the women. This happens usually within half an hour or 15 minutes. I feel that my nature is ready to go to be connected with others, and the female part is feeling that, no, I'm not able to work in unifying each other, unifying between each other. Let the psychologist explain.
Okay, so I'm going to give you some information. We already had focus groups, experimental groups that were working, and the experience of these groups showed us that mixed groups, essentially they don't advance. There's a certain point that comes where advancement stops, and a tremendous effort is needed to even go through a single paragraph of the text. And then they did an experiment where the women sat in an outer circle and the men continued in the inner circle according to the method of Kabbalah. And then even further, where women simply basically watched, observed from the TV screen.
In other words, the best result is achieved by women supporting the men in their intention, and the men approach each other. But if you want, and it's perfectly possible, that we can start from the beginning, the very first method of the group, the very first focus group. So why don't we vote? Who is for mixed groups and who is for segregated groups? When the women are sitting around the men, for example. So let's say you have like 5 circles of men that are sitting together, and around them will be groups of women, or we can do it so the men are sitting and between themselves studying spiritual work, and the women can watch it from the screen. Who is in favor of the first option, mixed groups? Looks like more men are in favor than women. All right. Who's for the second option when women are sitting around the men? The men feel that without the women's support they might be a little weak. And who's for the third option when the women are watching through screens? So it looks like the second one is the most popular one here. All right, so let's do that. Let's try that. This is the first. The first take. After we sit, what do?
After we
And a circle here is preferably the people that speak the same language, just to save time on translation. They read the same. They read an article or some experts on the same language.
No, we have a different plan. We think that it's best, and by we, this is the team that works in developing this method. That it's several people that are dedicated to doing this. We think that the groups need to be mixed. There will be interpreters there who are going to interpret from different languages. And then from the experience that we have done 2 days ago, we saw that the language barrier really is no barrier at all. If we focus correctly in the right intention, the problem with languages, it simply vanishes. Therefore, we recommend that you sit in a circle that you don't know, where you don't know anyone. But don't try to get to someone who's close to you in terms of your nationality. It's best if you really have mixed groups. And if there are interpreters needed here or there, please let us know, and we're going to try to supply whoever you need. The article that we're going to read, it's going to be interpreted into everyone's headphones. Another important point is that throughout this time when people are going to be sitting in circles, it's very important for the entire seminar, which is going to last a little more than an hour, is to not go anywhere, but stay where you are, because every person that gets up and leaves, this person impacts this entire process tremendously. And again, everyone needs to turn off their cell phone, and concentrate on this work.
So, we need to we need to agree that there, figure out in such a way so there are people that can translate to a language that everybody else understands.
Most of the people here, Europeans, almost all of them speak English. And there aren't too many of them that don't. We're going to try to organize translation for them.
Okay, and women can pick any group to sit behind, just so that it would be equal among the groups. Groups will receive an article or they'll hear it.
First thing, we're going to begin with a song. All of us are going to sing together. Then we're going to read the same article for all the groups at the same time. Then all the groups at the same time are going to be given an assignment. The groups start working amongst themselves. Then
so it's very important that there's a common action here, and everybody works in groups of 10. So, does a woman have the opportunity to put in her comments into the main group?
From our experience, it was very important so that in the beginning for a person to introduce himself in this circle, but without actually telling anyone their name, their profession, in a way that they normally might represent themselves. But just make a brief appearance and then step back. But to keep this animal part of himself out of this process. But instead aim himself to this next level, the human level. And if there is someone here who simply can't handle it and must say something about themselves. Sure, they can, but then they proceed to focus so that they don't interfere with this process. It's best, however, for everyone to be focused internally and trying to express in an internal manner what we're here for. We saw from experience that this worked better.
We had these sort of experiments also in our center, in our studio, and also in Moscow.
In Moscow and St. Petersburg, in Kiev, there was a small focus group as well.
So now, you're saying we're talking from our own experience. Now, what I would like to add is, as Anatoly said, we are disconnecting from all our problems. We are an integrated group, besides which there is nothing else in the world. Everything else connects directly to us. That's why we have the male and female part. They are all of humanity, the common soul, the one common soul, as we said, that there was created one single Kli, Malchut of the world of infinity, or the soul. And we imagine that now, here, we want to reveal ourselves in this Kli, not in the points of not in the lowest points, but on its highest possible level. Even if we imagine for ourselves the highest possible level, which is through us, through 5 worlds, 125 steps, which exists there, we still won't be able to imagine for ourselves anything more than the reverse part of the next step, because our imagination doesn't work farther than that. So our whole problem is in what? We study with you. Everybody that studies the system of the worlds knows that there is one Partsuf, a state, and one next to him, a higher one. And ascending from the first to the second state is only under the condition that we annul ourselves and enter the next as a fetus. So without not creating any obstacles in the next state. This next state is called Achap, Galgalte Venaim, the Galgalte Venaim of the upper, and we, with our desire and aspiration, want to be sucked into it, into this upper state. This upper state, with respect to us, is a state of complete bestowal. When we completely ascend above ourselves and leave this animal part behind. So we leave this behind.
And only the aspiration upward, what's called Adam, the human part. This is our desire, our consciousness. This is what we want to attach to our aspiration. This is the state of the spiritual ascent that we bring about. And if this is how we aspire upward, then Galgalte Enaim of the upper degree, through it, the light comes to us and pulls us upward. This is how it influences us. And this is what it's called light that returns to the source. We cannot do it ourselves. All we have is the efforts, the intentions, but not the action itself. The action itself is done by the upper light. So from our end, we need to develop the desire, this demand that we collect together by influencing together, by canceling ourselves before one another, and the demand to ascend, for the light to manifest in us, to reveal itself in us, and to bring us upward to this quality and bring us closer to bestowal. In this is where we are now. This is our intention.
So we have, so in the hall that's here, we have many of our friends who around the whole world are in different centers, and it's very important to say that they in sync with us perform the same tasks. They separate into tens and they do the same work synchronously. And so there's a question from the internet. It's unclear what the role of a woman is. So let's say the men are talking and discussing what is the role of a woman who is outside around the circle, or perhaps in a separate building and watching on a screen.
Is there anyone here who knows what the women's role is, what it's about? They're silent. Women? They don't know either. Oh, there's someone raising their hand. Go on, come to the microphone. It's right there in front of you. Introduce yourself, please. Tali from Israel.
The women around must guard the men so that they wouldn't look outside, but occupy themselves with what's inside, so they wouldn't be distracted.
That's all they must do?
Yes, they must guard.
All right, thank you.
Hello, Lena from Germany. To support the men, to push on them like on their husbands. Carefully, delicately, and to worry about them so that they would succeed, to support them like their sons, to be proud of them, that we believe in them and that we're very proud of them. Thank you. We have another question from the internet.
I remember this Frenchie from somewhere. Probably.
I think he was also connected
They're
to women somehow.
like that in France. They know what women are about.
Yes, just one moment from the internet. Just one second. There's a question from the internet. Yes, microphone. Must be activated. It seems to me that women have to know that they get this, that they order this. They call the shots.
Guten Tag, mein Name ist Smirna Haag, komme ich auch aus Klagenfurt. Ich bin alte Frau, aber junge Schülerin. Und gut. Okay. Übersetzen Sie.
Здравствуйте, я...
Hi, I'm from Germany. I'm an old student, he said. Oh, sorry, I confused it. I meant a young pupil, a young student. I'm an old woman, but a young student.
Ich glaube, dass die Aufgabe nicht wirklich geklärt ist, weil ich habe sehr lange studiert ihre Seite und ich ganze Unterrichte verfolge.
Я думаю, что задача
I
женщины...
think that the task of a woman is not yet clear because I read all of your sites and listened to all your lessons.
Die Frau hat eine unfassbare Kraft, die Männer genauso. Aber wenn die Männer ihr Licht erzeugen und das kommt im Kli, welche als Sieb sich erweist,
a woman has a huge strength just like a man, and if a man accumulates that in a vessel, it's
dann werden wir möglicherweise noch nicht zu dieser Vereinigung kommen. Und ich habe das Gefühl, dass man eigentlich auch die Frau stärken muss, um diese Löcher in den Sieb zuzumachen.
And in that way, if it all passes through a drushlag, then there's a unity. I have the sensation that we have to strengthen the women to close the holes in this thing with holes in it. It's a colander. So drushlag is a colander. Yeah, you know, we're not going to let you talk, so you might as well talk now.
Maybe I'm not speaking objectively, but I don't have a group of my own, and there needs to be a prayer. The women need to have prayer. They need to pray for the men. Trust me, this is what we need to do. We need to pray. We need to keep praying. We need to yell and shout from the inside for only for them to unite. Nothing else. This is what we need to do.
Hello, my name is Ida. I'm from Croatia. As women's work in the workshops, do you have to translate? No. The women have to support the unity that is being created in the workshop from inside. And
Добрый день, меня зовут Ида, я с Хорватии.
Hi,
Я считаю, что роль женщины это чтобы поддерживать единство, которое образуется в круге.
And during that process, they continuously have to clarify their lack.
И в течение всего этого процесса должно быть постоянное выяснение недостатка.
And then automatically the unity that is created among the men is transferred to us.
И то единство, которое будет образовываться среди мужчин, оно будет переходить автоматически к нам.
And that's how we create it together.
И так мы как и работаем вместе.
Здравствуйте, Раф. Здравствуйте, мировое Кли.
Hi, Rav. Hi, World Kli. I'm Ivona from Germany.
Меня зовут Ивона, я из Германии.
Also ich will sagen einfach, wir Frauen haben so starkes Verlangen, so starkes Chisaron und wir glauben an euch Männer und wir wissen, dass ihr das schafft und wir sind mit ganzem Herzen, mit ganzer Kraft mit euch und ja, ihr schafft das.
Я хочу сказать, что мы...
I want to say that we women believe in you and all our strength and all our... We're with you and you will succeed.
Спасибо.
Yes.
We
with
will
us.
succeed, not you or anyone. We will.
I would unite this with one word: inspire. The task of a woman is to inspire a man and to push them forward like a small child, upward, to not fall, to not lean us to the side, to inspire. Hi, Lena from Vilnius, and I would like to suggest that the women are women and stop doing the work of the men. So to let them do the work of the men. I want to be a woman. A role.
We study the role of men and women from the system of the spiritual worlds. That's where we can take examples from, not from our world. Our world has a million different theories, and with all these theories, we still don't know today the correct role of men and women. That's why our world looks the way that it does. In the spiritual world, there is the quality of Bina, and we need to equalize to this quality. In order to equalize to the quality of Bina, if this is Bina, then this is the quality of Zaranpin, and that's what we need to achieve. And this is the quality of Malchut. We need to unite in a way that the total of this unity would be us uniting with Zaranpin, who is going to bring us up to Bina. This is the system that we study in Kabbalah. There are a lot of different things going on here, a lot of elements. And this is the system that later governs us. And from the system, all the signals to the souls get passed down. And we are activated by the system, and in turn, we ascend to it. The system tells us that there are two forces in the world, the female and the male. One cannot ascend without the other by any means. But only by utilizing these two forces together do you get the necessary conditions and the required, the sufficient conditions. At first, the female force creates the desire, this tremendous desire, but this desire cannot be actualized by itself. It's simply a desire. There is no strength to actualize this desire, to implement it. And the next to this desire, there's another force. I'm gonna write it above because in terms of actualization it comes next, and that's the male force. The woman gives the necessity of the ascent and pushes the male part, creates a tremendous desire from herself, and inspires and guides and prays and shapes. Like a mother, she pushes her kids out to school and her husband to work. She creates the effort from which which activates and sets in motion everybody else. And then, as a result of that effort, the male part begins to actualize it and advance. This is what we study in Kabbalah. The woman is the hisaron, the lack, the deficiency, this great desire without which nothing can exist. And the man is gever, which is the force that takes this deficiency, with this force of propulsion, and takes this desire that he receives from the female part and actualizes it. Just like in our world, the way that it's been done for thousands of years, even more, where a man goes outside and hunts, or nowadays he goes out and he goes to work and brings his salary back home. This is how the family has existed for many, many years. In our group, we cannot violate these very natural qualities because otherwise we're not going to be equivalent, we're not going to be similar to them, to these Parzufim from the upper worlds. Therefore, women, we need your desire, we need your efforts, we need your prayers, which they stem from the... You know how to do it. There are certain... If you want something, you can make the men feel it without even saying anything, without even articulating it. You simply desire it, and a man has the ability to sense the woman's desire in a way that he feels it and he wants to actualize it. That's what he feels. He can't not want to actualize it. So if we aim this desire at the man correctly, we're going to reach the goal. Without the women, it's impossible to reach the goal. They're the ones who begin this whole process. They're also the most sensitive to it. They're the most they're closer to this system. They're closer to this message. And the men, we need to actualize it, to implement it, because they give us that force that come together and actualize the actual bestowal, and the men give that deficiency for it. So that's why the work works well when the women are either watching from the screen or they're sitting around the men. We can take time and figure it out. Right now we decided that the women are going to be sitting around, so we can try that. The only problem is to make sure that our men are not distracted, that they're not distracted from their inner intention, from their unity. So let's see. Perhaps next time, when we do the same experiment. Maybe we'll already feel that we need to get a little bit further apart from each other physically so that we don't distract the men that are gathering together. They need to feel your support, they need to feel your desire, but they need to see it coming from the back almost. But they shouldn't watch, they should.
So some women asked questions concerning this. If they watch the men from a separate building, how should they behave themselves? Quietly? Or should they at this moment speak or discuss things, or what?
I have no clear answer to that question. It's quite possible that they have certain things that they absolutely must talk about very briefly, to pay attention to something, to get another woman to pay attention, to bring her back into the process. You can do that. Don't be shy to do that. As long as you're trying to help, as long as you're aimed at the right goal, to help the men feel your right intention, to feel your desire to unite, then you can exchange some words between you, some phrases, as long as you have that aim pushing you forward. Like a small child, as one of the ladies came up, one of the ladies said who came up. It's like a small child, you look at him and you really, really want him to be successful, for him to succeed at something. Be like a mother.
Also, a question was, how important is practical work of the woman? When the seminar starts, how important it is that they're here and participating and not, going out and doing whatever they're doing?
No, that's impossible. Men are not going to be able to do anything by themselves. Absolutely not. They can get together, hang out, get a drink, and that's okay, that's preparation, but they cannot do any real work without a very strong female part, without them generating throughout this time their desire, their aspiration toward the goal. That gets impossible, and we see this through history. It stems from the structure of the upper worlds, the upper Parzufim. If we don't raise this desire to Malchut, and if the Malchut doesn't form, then nothing happens. Therefore, women need to take this very seriously, and I'm talking to the women first and foremost because everything begins with women. I really would understand that it all begins with women and it ends with women, because men are activated. You activate them. Men are manipulated, and the women know this. The correct manipulation of the men is to aim them at the goal, and this is something that a woman can do with a single desire, with even half a word. It's very simple for her to do. For a man, it's impossible, especially on his own. That's why in Kabbalah there is always a law that a man who wasn't married, he couldn't have been a student. He was never accepted as a student of Kabbalah. Why? What's he missing? He needs to have a wife and kids in order to study. In our world, it's considered disturbances or obstacles. But if you don't have that desire next to you, wanting you to succeed, aiming you at the goal, you're not going to have the desire to reach it.
We have a question from the internet. Yes, please. There are thousands of questions, and Sasha Angelo was mentioning this. Can you give us some instruction for a seminar of single people that are by themselves? What are the instructions for them? What should they do? Can we have an instruction for a singular person like me?
Well, first of all, no, there are no singles here. There may be tens of thousands of people in the world right now that are sitting here with us today, and a tremendous female part and the male part. So distance does not play a role here, and we all know this. We use the collective female desire and the intention that the men all generate together. So even if he's sitting by himself in Boston up there, then he's not by himself. He's with us in the male group through the internet. And both with the men's and the women's group as well, and with all the other people that are watching us from all over the world. So there are no singles who are alone. There are no recommendations for them specifically, but I do want to mention something. There are women who simply cannot stand being in the company of other women. They can't handle it. For them it's easier to just get up and go somewhere else. But I recommend being in the same space, and as much as possible try to be to think about the men together, because it's impossible actually for them to be together in unity. But if they're thinking about someone else, a third person, then it's possible.
On the Arba Congress in the desert, you said that the work that we're doing is very, very serious, but very joyful. Can you add a few words?
I've been trying to talk about it for a long time. Greatness of the goal, it's the most important thing. We know this from Rabash. We know that the entire inspiration and aspiration toward the goal, we can do it if we feel this responsibility, tremendous, the greatness of the goal that's in front of us. And of course we need to relate to it with great gratitude and joy. If we don't have joy, we're not going to have the strength to do any of this work. Therefore, we must always be inspired by, impressed with this inspiration, impressed with the goal for which we have gathered together. And together with this inspiration and joy and greatness of the goal, we also need to feel a certain trepidation. Not huge, but to some degree. We need to be anxious. Are we going to be successful? Are we going to succeed? Otherwise, we're not going to relate to this exercise that we're doing today with enough seriousness. Because in reality, it's very, very serious. Why? Because all of our other studies, everything that we do, it's all very theoretical. Light entering the Kli, structure of the worlds, all the processes that take place, all this is theory. But the actual implementation, the actualization of this theory in these groups, this is practice. Here is when we can see how this method works with us if we to it with seriousness. On the one hand, with great inspiration, this is like keter, and with a certain trepidation and concern, and this pertains to Malchut. The greater the difference between these two states, between these two qualities in us, it can be a tremendous concern and tremendous joy. Greater they are, the bigger our vessel becomes, in which we're going to have the upper light be revealed. So this, the capacity of this vessel depends on the distance between these two states.
Okay, so maybe this question is a little out of place, but we're entering very important work now. And now there are going to be many changes of states of people. So how do we organize the work with respect to this next level that we are attaining? How do we work with it and continue it over the next days of the Congress?
Let's try not to get distracted. We know that we have a lot of friends who have locked themselves up at their centers for 48 hours. They're not leaving. They're sleeping there on mattresses. They've stocked up on food and drink, and they're there for the entire two days, two full days. They're not communicating with anyone. They're completely cut off. Only the male part, rather. And at the same time, there is another place where the women are doing the same. There are other centers that they're not locked in. People are coming and going, and so on. But we have a lot of groups that are in a closed state in order to secure themselves from viruses, from foreign thoughts, from all kinds of foreign influences. We have enough to work with between ourselves, but when we're in a group, we're always under the influence of our group. As a result, when we disconnect from the world, we kind of cocoon into which all kinds of foreign thoughts from the outside, they don't enter in. So I am very distressed to hear phones ringing here in this hall. Why do you need them? Why do you need people calling? What do you need to hear from the world? You need to disconnect from it. Otherwise, you're not serious. You're not entering inside of what we're trying to create, and you're disturbing your friends as well. We need to secure ourselves as much as possible from all disturbances so that we could feel greater and greater concentration only in one place, only with one desire to exit oneself and to feel that between us a new reality is being born. And through this reality we're beginning to sense this integral world. We begin to see these sources of energy and information. We begin to feel this mutuality that emerges between us. Let's try to become similar to our friends who have completely disconnected themselves from everyone else. When we come out to have a smoke, to have a drink, we only think about, we talk about the important things. Nothing like where I came from, what I do for a living, or any other talk. None of that is needed. Or just keep quiet. That's the best thing. But keep quiet in a friendly way, by thinking about this common goal of ours. We need to give birth. We need to give birth to our new desire, our common mutual desire, mutual intention, our mutual feelings, in which we're going to feel their mutual bestowal, and where we're going to feel the Creator. So you can walk around, you can do whatever, but try to secure yourself to keep safe from all kinds of foreign disturbances. After this lesson, we're going to come out to a little break. And then we're going to come back here for a workshop, for a seminar. So again, I ask you very seriously, keep all the thoughts that we're talking about now, keep them with you. Don't let the break cool you off. Let's focus on it. We've been together for enough time now, for a sufficient amount of time.
Okay,
we
can
can
you
give
give
a
us some
certain instruction
as
perhaps
to
as to
supposed to
how
go
this
through?
work is done, and then if we have questions, we'll go over them. We have about half an hour. Okay, so the work itself in the circle is it's very important for a person to speak from the heart, that they don't need to talk in slogans and cliches, but there is a very important thing here. Rob, you spoke about when you're raising kids, it's very important is the intention, where if you want to say something, even if you don't say it, the intention is what's important. It's very important to say things in a friendly way and from the heart, to have everyone be focused on this mutual field, on this between us. If someone feels that it's difficult for them to speak, maybe the leader of the group is going to help them. But this being together in this process is very important. The thing is, the world that we're trying to connect to, that we're trying to sense, it's not verbal. There are no words there. There is no exchange of information other than wordless information, and frequencies that constitute our thoughts, our feelings. There are special frequencies. So there are people who pick up on them. We sometimes pick up on them when we know another person really well. We simply instinctively tune ourselves to that person's frequency. It's not supernatural or anything. There are people who are able to do that. They're able to sense other people's states. But we connect not only to this mutual egoistic plane, but there are people who can do that in this world, that have this kind of quote-unquote sixth sense. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to connect to a force of bestowal, which is based on giving, on altruism, not egoism. Therefore, it's very important for us to understand that on the level of this, at the level of this force, we don't influence each other with words. If our words, they are opposite from our thoughts, then they're useless. The only way that works is that if we want to be like what we talk about, but we're not quite there yet. We haven't gotten there. We're not altruists yet. We're not givers. We don't aspire for unity, but at least we want to be that way. Then it works. But it's important not to have our words contradict or oppose our thoughts. That at least we want that aspiration to be there. But essentially, this inner aspiration, this inner focus, this is enough. It's sufficient. There are cases from our practice where people sat together for several hours without saying a single word. We had the same thing with Rabash during our meals, or the gatherings of friends that we had, where we simply sat there for sometimes 30-40 minutes without saying a single word. It was complete silence. And during that time, a person would go through within himself a million different thoughts, swimming somewhere deep within himself in all kinds of dark corners, and then from there he emerged and went and thought in the right direction and the right goal, and then again he fell. And that's how gradually a person learns to be in the right intention, because to infiltrate this next plane, information plane, it can only be done with that duo of desire and intention. To be born in it, to emerge in it. This is what we're going to try to do from this moment on. We can talk to one another, but most importantly, we want to not cause harm to ourselves or to our friends.
The next question that we have from practice is, when
Question
we
we
start to
have
unite,
also from experience, when we start uniting, we start feeling negative feelings towards the friends, hatred, irritation. How do we work with them correctly? Do I talk about them or not? We need to split the world into two parts. What the world looks like to me, what I perceive it as, and what the world is really like. When we reveal the world in its true form, in our mutual desire, we will see that it exists in complete perfection, and there is nothing that needs to be corrected. The only thing that we needed to correct was ourselves, our own personal attitude, personal perception of the world. So these things need to be very clearly separated. The world into two worlds: a world that I live here with my ego and what I perceive right now, and the world that exists in complete rest, in a one and single quality of love. We need to differentiate these things. One perception is it's real, it's what I feel, this irritation and all these things, and the other one, the one where if I ascend and I rise above and I'm going to feel myself with the group, that's what I'm going to feel. And my friends are perfect and don't need they're not lacking anything, and I simply need to join them and be in them like an embryo in a mother. And it doesn't matter what they say to us, what they do, all these disturbances that I hear. Through it all, I simply need to come inside, be inside them, to imagine them as they are in complete correction and complete balance, and I am within them.
Well, we were just reading
We've been reading here in the first article that we gathered here to make this transition, and the transition needs to be conscious. So what is this consciousness? What exactly are we becoming conscious of? What is this action that we're doing?
we can't do anything concretely in order to perform our actions, to make our path conscious. We're only waiting for changes in us under the influence of the upper light. My efforts invoke this upper light which works on me. I don't know what's happening with me now either, or in my natural life. I try to realize what's happening at every moment of my life, and here I'm aspiring towards the quality of bestowal, but it has to come to me. It has to act on me, and then I'll understand what's happening with me. Personally, I'm only in charge of this with respect to my aspiration, but understand it, I cannot. We have to see that my aspiration upward, forward, is always with a question. It's always with a desire for it to happen. But from above, the upper light comes, and it gives us the answer. And it gives us the answer. So, by no means can anything appear from us. I only await for this revelation of this upper light on us. So this Or Makif, this surrounding light, it appears, but just not with enough quality. So we don't ask this question well enough. Will we have a question of sufficient intensity of desire, power here, for this desire to become equal to that first dose of light? That's what's important here. This is the first portion of light, and this is the first portion of the question. When we enter such a level, it's called that we attained a threshold, meaning of our question, of our aspiration, of our desire. And then we finally find the answers. The light acts as just like in an atom, according to quanta. So an electron can fall to a lower level of energy and release one quanta of light, a photon. And it can also rise up by one quanta of energy to a higher level by absorbing a photon. And in this way, we have the same principle. We have to ascend to a higher level. Here we are on a particular level. We ascend by some time. Not having attained that level, perhaps we haven't reached the second one yet. So we're over here somewhere, let's say. And we're always falling back and losing this level. And again, falling and trying to get it. So how do we jump to this level, to this next level? If we ascend to it, we won't fall back down. It's like, you're trying to jump onto a table. You jumped up a little bit, halfway, 3/4, a little more, but you keep falling back to the floor. But only if you jump all the way over it, then you're standing on it. This is what we have to do. And we are not prepared for anything less, right? Yeah? Can't hear you. Let's do some questions. Men, women, everybody. And then we'll begin to realize it. If you could come to the microphone.
Ich wollte schon im ersten Unterricht diese Frage stellen, aber jetzt bin ich froh, dass ich sie nicht gestellt habe. Jetzt stelle ich sie ein bisschen anders.
Я хотел этот вопрос уже на первом уроке поставить, и я очень рада, что я это не сделала. Я сейчас этот вопрос поставлю по-другому.
In letzter Zeit bei Unterricht haben Sie immer etwas empfohlen oder zumindest erwähnt, dass es möglich ist, zu verschleunigen, den Aufstieg damit, dass man tun, als ob.
Вы на уроках нам все время советовали, что вот этот процесс можно ускорить, это как игра, как играем в это.
Das habe ich dann in weiteren Texten von Rabash und Bal-Hasolam auch begegnet, aber keiner von euch drei erklärt das wirklich.
Это я тоже увидела в текстах от Баль-Сулама и Рабаша,
I also saw this in the text by Bal-Sulam and Rabash, but none of you of three explained this point. Which point?
Aus Theater komme, ich stelle mir das schon so vor.
Как эту игру, как это сделать так, как будто мы уже находимся там?
How do we make this game as though we already exist there? How do we play it? I come from the theater myself and I'm trying to imagine it. Does the Frau have kids?
And how do we play with children? We show them what to do, what they have to do, what they have to perform, how they want to be big. We play with them, right? And we play often with them the same way we have to perform here. All of nature, the growth of a person is built on a game. Right now we're also playing among ourselves. We're working in people, in great people. We're playing on the level of the Creator. We're playing as if we're on the level of the Creator. Do you understand what kind of just, rudeness that is? How can you want to be on the level of the Creator? I don't know, if you want to be a chauffeur, a doctor, a cowboy, or something. I was playing those things when I was a kid, and now we're doing the same thing. A game is actually the means to ascend to the next level everywhere. When a person stops playing, he immediately begins to age. So now we have to play here with you, and not be shy of the fact that I don't know who you are, what is this group or whatever. We have to pretend truly and play, and then we'll succeed. In the same way as a child, he performs efforts, and in this way evokes the same upper light. This same force which develops us, only we now want it to develop to the next level. Not in the example of our world, but the example of a higher world.
My question to you now is, should the women now act as if the women already exist in Lishma?
No, women have to look at them as children. They want to be in something. It's just as women that push their men forward and stand behind them. They say that behind every successful man there's a strong woman, and it's truly this way. That there can't be any other way. We want to be successful men. That's all. Can I ask a question?
Irina from Moscow. I'm gonna first say something quickly and then I'll ask. Or the other way around. The question is, how do we help our men? Between men and women, there must always be a connection. If it's son and mother, then son loves the mother, mother loves the son. If it's husband and wife, then it's the love between the man and the woman. If they're friends, because they have certain mutual aspirations and goals, then there needs to be sympathy and friendship between them.
But you can't imagine what you don't imagine what connection connects us.
I don't understand how the women need to be supporting them like in the background.
Hold on. In our world, if we connect as a woman and a child, or a wife and a husband, we're on one level and we're trying to attain something. And so it's just us together. Let's say a husband and a wife, or a mother and a child. That's it. Only on this level. In our case, we are the three of us. A man, a woman, and the upper force, the Creator. There we connect in Him, in mutual love, the three of us, not ever just the two. This is not animal love. This isn't some animal connection. It connects us only because we have one goal, and through that we connect together into one single whole. So it's a completely separate sensation. But I'm sorry that I speak about these feelings like a mother's love to a child as animal qualities, but it's really on an animal level. Here, there's nothing but the Creator, the connection that He creates. And His appearance will happen between us only to the degree that we demand for Him to come between us. Without Him, we would be complete strangers. So every time that I relate to a friend, to a man or a woman, I imagine for how between us the Creator will be revealed, and not by any means that there would be some sort of contact. On the animal level is the animal level, but on the spiritual level is only the Creator.
Tout à l'heure, tu as fait un dessin avec une grande flèche qui la lumière et le désir.
Just now you drew two arrows, one with the light, one with the desire. And this light, this arrow, means that it needs to be collected only in a good way. And it needs to be collected in a good way, but when I leave from the group, I start feeling that it's all gone, that it leaves me. And after that, I realize that it was the light. But when I come, I have a certain concern that makes me clarify, scrutinize. Something that gives me cause for concern is what I can't always formulate the right question within.
He's not enough in the group. You don't have to be afraid if you're among them as somebody small. You have to make them smaller, up to the level of a fetus in a womb. And then I have nothing to be afraid of. The problem is that he's trying to protect himself. And then he has all sorts of fears and doubts and worries. To the degree of his fear, he has to understand that they're given to him to connect deeper into the group. And then the fears and doubts disappear, because annulling yourself in a group, he finds himself within it, under its, defended by it, and the group becomes like a womb, something great in which he exists.
And just recently we were speaking about women. I belong to a generation where my parents were separated, and it wasn't a good experience. I don't feel good about that. I know that in my generation there are a lot of other people that have gone through the same thing, and we don't trust women. It's very difficult for us to trust them.
I'm not sure what his problem is, because we're talking about completely different things. I'm sorry, but we're not talking about men and women as if there's something biological, like the collection of some, I don't know, chromosomes or hormones or whatever. We're talking about men and women as qualities of nature. Qualities of nature, and this is important to us. When we, as adults, understand how to use each of his forces, weaknesses, strengths to reach a goal. serious people have gathered here that want to reach this, and they don't really care about these sort of problems that occur on the on this material life between men and women. We're tearing away from this. We're rising above it. We want to use our spiritual qualities of men and women in order to support each other and to ascend. This is why we have to go together towards the goal. Each of us has a particular mission in this, and you can't have one without the other. Only together we can make our connection productive. As we study in Kabbalah, there's aviyut, desire, and zakut, a screen. And you need both of them equally with each other. You can't have one without the other. If the screen is greater than the aviyut, then where did it come from? It can't be, because a screen appears only above a desire. A desire, if it's greater than a screen, then it's not for the sake of bestowal, but it's now for the sake of reception. So the correct working together of these two qualities, again, I emphasize qualities, not hormones or any earthly qualities. This is what we're talking about. When I say woman, a woman, by woman, I mean an aspiration toward spirituality, and a man is the realization of that aspiration. Something unrelated to this world. So now let's try to relate to it that way. All right?
Okay, so
right now we have to go for a short cigarette break.
I also have a request for you, though. I had a question I wanted to ask before we go to the break. You tell us what exactly we're doing, how we aim ourselves, what we're doing during the break. Remind us what we're going to be doing at the workshop.
So we're synchronizing our watches. We're preparing for an attack. Men and women together. Understanding each other. We are now exiting calmly towards for a cigarette break. We're smiling. We're happy. And we drink some coffee, have a smoke, come back here at 4:45, and continue our first serious work in the creation from ourselves a spiritual Kli. Best of luck to you. Let's attune ourselves correctly. Well, Maestro, music please.
В этом мире бушующем есть только миг, за него и держись. Есть только миг между прошлым и будущим, именно он называется жизнь. Есть только миг между прошлым и будущим, именно он называется жизнь. Вечный покой сердце вряд ли обрадует. Вечный покой для седых пирамид, а для звезды, что сорвалась и падает, есть только миг, ослепительный миг. А для звезды, что сорвалась и падает, есть только миг, ослепительный миг. Пусть этот мир долетит сквозь столетия, но не всегда по дороге мне с ним. чем дорожу, чем рискую на свете я, мигом одним, только мигом одним. Чем дорожу, чем рискую на свете я, мигом одним, только мигом одним. Счастье дано, повстречать и беду еще, есть только миг, за него и держись. Есть только миг между прошлым и будущим, именно он называется жизнь. Есть только миг между прошлым и